pleasure to introduce Mike McCamon. Mike is with an organization called Water.org, who is literally changing the face of the earth. And what something would appear very, very simple, which is a very complex problem, which is clean water. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mike. Hello. Hi. It's supposed to be Southwest, not, South by Southwest. We gotta start my time. Well, my name is Mike, and I'm the Chief Community Officer at Water.org. That particular title we invented 4 years ago. It's kind of becoming something that people are trying to use now. In our context, it was the idea of how do we take the CTO title and the CMO title and kind of merge those two functions together to figure out how we can use technology to create community around a cause. The talk I'm going to do today here is primarily focused on what I call the suburbs of Houston, but another part of my job is the slums of Haiti. So how do we use technology to connect those people to the cause? And that'll be my talk tomorrow at SXSWi, so that's the pitch on that at 1:15. It's called Let's Talk Shit and Save Water. And next we'll be talking there about a program that we've written that uses SMS to provide water quality information to people in real time. But the things I'm going to do here real quick, I'm going to talk about two different programs that we have kind of been in the wild here. One of them that just launched 3 weeks ago, and the other one that's been around for a couple of years of some of the experiments that we've been doing using technology in this light. So our mission is pretty simple. It's just safe water and the dignity of toilet. This is a hand pump well in Haiti. One of the first things that we had to do as an organization is to kind of look at our messaging. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of this stuff. But it's really easy when you're in the nonprofit space to kind of like really bludgeon people with statistics. And the two most popular ones that we use most often is the fact that people don't have access to water and a lot of people don't have toilets. Those are pain in the trees like we saw in Stand-Up Millionaire, and that is in Bangladesh. But when I first got there 4 years ago, we had a whole bunch of these water facts, and it was just too much, and it just kept overwhelming people. Now we have all that stuff still on our website, but it doesn't really affect our major messaging. And what we ended up migrating to, which was actually driven mostly by a lot of research and social media tracking, some of the stuff that we found we would outlined early on, was basically to identify that there's really only two messages that have been really resonating in social media over the last 3 years around the water crisis, and these are the two of them. The first one is that more people have a mobile phone than have a toilet, and the second one is that my toilet water is cleaner than 1 billion people have to drink. And those two, what's really interesting about these two tweets, and actually I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the second campaign, it's the strike, the toilet strike, which I'll talk about in a minute, is the idea that I lost my thought there, which toilet water is cleaner than to drink. Well, with the strike idea was to try to take these concepts, well, I know what it was, is that these deliver on this juxtaposition problem that the world that we live in is very different than the world that these people live in. And there's really no way to really convey that in a kind of way unless it like really pounds in your face. I could do the 1 out of 8 people or this many people of that, but like when you put it in these types of terms, it sticks with people because it puts in a very personal way that they have to interact with these two things that we do every day ourselves. So the way we've been approaching things, and we kind of finished up the messaging and thought about that, was to look at how we wanted to engage people. And there's a lot of thought in this in the cause space. And I was very adamant that what we wanted to do was kind of go in this order. So we wanted to first get people's attention, and then their voice, and then their time, and then their money, in that order. There's a lot of nonprofits that actually start what they ask from a financial point of view. The metaphor I always use with that, I think it's a bad idea. The metaphor I always use with that is that when I meet someone for the very first time and to reach out to shake their hand, I don't do it like this. So why would I ask someone for money the first time that I meet them? And what we've really been very aggressive about is trying to work with the idea that we want to really focus on advocacy first. over fundraising. Get people interested in the issue, and then they'll self-select if they think and they care. And this has taken a little bit of patience, by the way. It took about 8 months to kind of right the ship and start moving that direction, but ever since it's been doing quite well. And a lot of the software that we've been building kind of delivers on this concept of trying to build people as advocates. Is this making sense so far? Am I going the right speed, too fast, too slow? Anyone? No one's asleep yet. That's always a good sign. And only 2 people left, so I'm good on that. So the first project I want to talk about is something that was born several years ago. Is it next slide blank? I don't know. And it's the metaphor I like to use is dandelions. The next one will be tulips. Those are the 2 things. Now, the thing about dandelions is that most people kind of hate them. But if you're a marketing person, you might want to think about the fact that I think you might actually really like them. If you do the research on them, you'll know that a typical dandelion, I think, blooms 6 times a year and spreads about 120 seeds every time it blooms. Okay? Doesn't look pretty, but it spreads. Which is exactly what you want to do if you're trying to build and use technology to deliver on a cause, when basically you don't have any money. Because that's the other point, it's a nonprofit, it's very, very little money. And the thing we've also learned is that by using this dandelion concept that I'm going to explain here in a minute, is that if you add lots of small numbers together, they actually make a very big number. I think a lot of us in marketing these days have kind of missed the notion of what the long tail is. The long tail, actually, if you look at it mathematically differently, you know how the long tail works, right? It starts up here and it kind of goes out to the right, goes out into perpetuity. But if you were to flip that around and add the sum of all those markets, it actually becomes a big pile out to the right. And so the idea is, how can I leverage and get people moving in flocks, if you will, and coordinate that in a way that makes it look a lot bigger than trying to find one big tall tree, if that makes any sense. So one of the things I originally looked at, along with our team, when we were starting to think about what we could do, we kind of tossed a lot of different things out the window and started over. And what we did is I built this little matrix. We used to always do this, like this or that kind of stuff. And if you look at the tactics you can use to deploy a message, you've got 2 axes here. The one going up and down is whether it's really shareable or not, and left or right is when you see it or when you miss it. And the logic is that it seems to me like you want to be in that lower right-hand quadrant. You want something that's really shareable, and it's really hard for people to miss. And if you think about it, like today, not to bash this, but this is an event. And you have to be here. So if you're not in Austin, in this bar today, right now, you've missed it. Okay, so obviously it's easy to miss. And it's actually something hard to share, in terms of the digital way. The other 2 are kind of the more traditional kind of direct mail stuff, which we don't do anymore. We do a little bit, I should say. We do like an end-of-year campaign just to raise some money, in the December timeframe, for people that have sent us checks before. And the only direct mail that we do to everybody else is basically a postcard from the field. And it looks like a postcard with a story from someone who's been in the field. And we always do those in the summer with the logic that people might be getting postcards from their friends on vacation. Is the logic. And it's a picture. We don't ask for money. It's just like, here's what your support has done to help people. But the problem with both of those is that they're not in that bottom quadrant. Your inbox, you know how part of that is, and then of course you've got these 2 mailbox that's actually even easier to miss, because I usually just throw all that stuff away, not to take away that part of the business with email, but I don't read that stuff. So in today's modern world, the place where I think you want to be is in the feed. And I mean that in a generic sense of either Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, or wherever that might be. That's the most efficient place to be, because it is inherently shareable and it's really hard for people to miss, although Facebook's gaining that too these days. We won't talk about that today. So then the next question becomes, well, how do we get into the feed? How do we get into the place where people will see this and it will be easy for them to share? Well, I kind of did another one of these matrices, and I did like, how reliable will the content will get into the feed, and how difficult will it be for that person to do that? And if you start to map these, you want to be kind of in a place where it's very reliable and it's very easy for the person to do it. So, like the least effective ways to get people to manually retype stuff, I want to do that. Copy and paste is actually pretty good because it's actually reliable, but it's still someone has to actually physically do something. And of course, about a year ago, it's about a year and a half ago, no, it's 2 years ago now, I guess, when Facebook introduced the like button, everyone thought that was like the godsend of like marketing, like people just click the like button, it'll be there. But people still have to click on it. And if you look at your page serves, you're still getting a pretty low conversion rate of likes. I mean, if you look at it kind of in an overall grand scheme of things. And so what we looked at is that what we should try to figure out is how to automate. How do we make it so we can automate that for people? And so there's a piece of software that we've invented, and it is open source, by the way. So if you go on GitHub, you can download it for free. And this technology has been around for about 4 years now. And it allows us to post content into people's feeds automatically. We've used it over about we actually used it for Water Day 3 years in a row. We're doing it again for Water Day, which is in 2 weeks. We did it for Toilet Day, we've done it for the Strike campaign. It basically allows us, when someone comes into the site, they use Facebook and Twitter, and then they authenticate with us, and they give us permission to post content on their feed, as if it was them posting the content into their feed, right? We've had about 60,000 people give us their credentials at one time or the other, and we've actually generated about 80 million social media impressions with software. Okay, we didn't spend money on marketing or advertising and that stuff. It was all just from people posting content in their feeds. As I said, it does have Facebook and Twitter support. It is open source. And the other thing we've done is we've actually baked in a lot of tracking as well. So if Michael were to come to the site and donate his voice to us for a campaign, I go to my console, sit down and type up the tweet that I want him to tweet tomorrow. And then when it posts out on his account, we put a unique bit.ly at the end. Actually, it's a bit.ly that describes uniquely him. So then that way, when someone clicks on his feedback to our site, I know how much influence Michael has in our market. All right. It also allows me to track how unique the number of people are that are clicking back to the site. What we've seen is that after someone donates their voice, after about the 4th or 5th time we post something, on average, over the course of all these different campaigns, about 65% of all donors get at least one person to the site. And about 35% of the people actually get more than 2 people to the site. And what's really crazy about this is that there's nothing that you can do that I'm aware of in marketing that allows you to get somebody's friend to your campaign at no cost to you. And that's basically the way we've been building this, is through this type of a program. Does it make sense? It's kind of different. I've got a couple examples here. So the way this works on a site that is actually launching officially tomorrow is for Water Day. And so the way that this works, and by the way, one of the things that VML has helped us a lot on is not only encouraging us, but also brainstorming with us and doing some design work. But this is kind of the latest version of kind of like the path that we've been on for design. If you go to waterday.org, this is the website that you will see there. And basically there's 3 calls to action. You can join, go to the gallery, which is an Instagram thing that we've done, and we can donate money, of course. If you click on join, what you get is a real simple screen that lets you donate your voice. It explains what we're going to do, which is we're going to tweet, we're going to post on your account now, and then every day, the week of the 18th, through Water Day. And then all you got to do is just click yes or no. And that's all it is. The next page is the dashboard, which I don't have a screenshot of, but it just basically says thank you for your donation. And that's basically the end of the transaction. We don't send them an email, we don't do anything, we just basically start posting content on their account, effectively based on this agreement, if you will. Now the way this looks in the wild, and unfortunately this site is just launching, so I didn't have any screenshots, but I have to show you screenshots of the thing I'm going to talk about next. Right? But this is the strike, which I'll talk about in a minute, which we've also embedded the same code, and if you come to the strike and you support the strike, we use the same code base, so it allows you to kind of donate your voice basically to us. And so some of you may know Michael Lundgren, which is this thing here at the bottom. There's no way to raise him. But here's Michael Lundgren here. So what I had done in this screenshot is I saw Mike's a supporter of the strike, and if I go into Facebook and I see on his Facebook newsfeed a link, and I click on it, because it says, support the strike, whatever the messaging we had. More people have a cell phone. The water in my toilet is cleaner than a million people have a drink, and I click on it. I land on this landing page, and I can see that Mike is actually supporting the strike, right? And I guess actually I should have done this, because actually that's what it looked like. The strike against toilet. So this is what I saw over in Facebook, and when I clicked on it, I landed on the site, and it had that customization that's on the bottom of that page at the same time. That makes sense. And the idea is by doing this, it allows us to engage, obviously, thousands of advocates, basically just by marketing the site. We don't really do much else other than that, just to get people to the site. And then what I do is spend a lot of time working with any partner I can, One Campaign, or Facebook, or Twitter, or a brand, Levi's, whatever, to get, to drive traffic to the Water Day campaign. And the ask for them is not, I don't need money, I don't need advertising, I just want some traffic. Because we've been able to see most of the time, over the course of all the campaigns we've run, we get about a 10 to 12% conversion rate of people that land on this site to sign up, particularly when it comes to the referential traffic. So when someone sees their friends involved and they see their picture there, they're more likely to sign up. The other thing that's funny is we had a meeting over lunch to one of our supporters, and he was telling me that there's a feature we just added to the code that when one of your friends, well, for instance, if I were to click on Mike's link and then I were to join, Mike would also get an email from the system telling him that, hey, thank you for supporting because your friend so-and-so just also joined the campaign as well. So it's, again, trying to build on the fact that, hey, you're helping us in these very, very small ways, just getting people to talk about the issue. So the way I'm going to wrap this up is I'll tell you the story of two different people. I did mention this 10 to 12% sign up. We've had 60,000 people when I said that social media. So Jackie is a person, I had used these slides for an internal presentation. This is not going to work as well, but I asked everybody, does anyone know who Jackie is? And of course, no one on staff knew who they were. And I said, well, Jackie actually lives in New Mexico, and she's a person who's donated her voice on our evergreen site called power.water.org. And actually, what's really great about Jackie is that Jackie found out about the site through John. Because actually, John is the person who originally signed up for the site, not Jackie. And actually, John has actually had 4 people join the site by just clicking on the links that come through to the site. And what's really efficient for us as a nonprofit is, again, this allows me to go off and kind of extend the web of support for the organization without having to spend a lot of money. And just using technology behind the scenes to do that. And what we're looking for the future is how do we, one of the things from my background, having been a software developer for a lot of years, is to always be really kind of at the front of pushing where is Facebook's SDK going, or their API I should say, where's Twitter going, how do we monitor that, how do we build software to kind of really understand how people are using these technologies and these platforms, and then be able to try to game them. Because this is basically gaming the platform. We'd even talked about, which we didn't do, we'd even talked about building a piece of software, we're going to call it lovewater.org. And what we're going to have it do basically is anytime we post something, we were going to actually have all those people like that post. Because that obviously drives up content into the feed. Because that's the way they do the math in terms of what's relevant and not. But that just seemed a little too far. The one other feature that we do kind of build into the Power code base is this concept of a slider. The application today already has this notion of audiences. So we could basically say, here's one audience, and we're going to do this kind of content for this audience. You can pre-schedule between all that kind of stuff, or Facebook, whatever. But what we want to do is make it really easy for people to come to the site and then be able to pick how much noise they want to, how much of their voice they want to give us. So they can have kind of a lighter donation or a heavy donation. And so those are the kind of things we're also looking at with the code. But because it's open source and on GitHub, you're more than welcome to go write code and contribute it yourself if you'd like. So the question is, why do we love dandelions? Is because there are thousands of people just like John. So all I've got to do is just keep casting the net wide, and whoever signs up, if I can get them to donate their voice, I can automatically start getting their friends to see the message, and some of them actually also click through as well. It's viral marketing, kind of like mad scientist kind of stuff. Now the other half of my story today is about tulips. And no offense meant, but if you're from the Midwest, you know that tulips are very beautiful flowers, but they look good for about 3 weeks, and then the rest of them look like crap. And that's great, and I need to figure out how to use those, but we've been trying to do more of this dandelion stuff. But so we do have a tulip project underway, and I'll tell you about that. But first, a little bit of introduction. So about 2.5 years ago, I just happened to be invited to a YouTube event because I was hounding them to help us. And then they randomly gave me a phone call, being LA in 2 days. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll scramble out there. And when I got out there, it was a telethon called Project for Awesome. If you know the Vlog Brothers, any of you are young and follow these guys, you might know who they are, Hank and John Green. But by being introduced to them, I was saying that there's got to be a way to like get these vloggers to do something for us, because this is like a pretty untapped market of people. And so what we decided to do is take them to the field. And so what we did is on that first year, we invited 3 vloggers to go to Haiti. And then last year we had 3 vloggers go to India. And then basically what we did is say, here's what we want you to do. Well, get your plane ticket, we'll take you to the field, and there's basically 3 rules. You have to launch your video on March 22nd on Water Day. You have to treat the issue with respect, and you cannot use any profanity. I don't want to see the videos before they go. I don't care what you say. I'm just going to be confident enough that you'll be so moved by the experience that you'll do the right thing. And what has been amazing is the very first time that we did this with Haiti, when the videos got launched in the first 36 hours, those videos had 1.3 million views. And we didn't do any of it. We basically bought 3 plane tickets and took it to the field. All right? But it took a great, when my COO was about ready to have a heart attack, because like the idea that I would like take that kind of risk and just, I'm like, you know what, let's just see what happens. You know, I just can't imagine that people will go rogue on you if you give them the opportunity to do the right thing. And so far it's gone really well. So this has been an interesting experience for us, take vloggers to the field. It's been very, very successful. And this is actually, when we were, this lady is crazy. This lady lives like 400 yards from the dump in Nagpur, India. She now has a water connection in her house. And so she now spends her time, as opposed to collecting water, she actually has a sewing business in her little place that she lives. It's pretty amazing story. So when it came to rich media in general, so we had this vlogger thing that we did. Then that's kind of interesting. And you know, we had this guy named Matt Damon, who's our co-founder, which is kind of handy. But the problem was that every time we did like something like that, it did kind of well, but just like didn't really blow the doors off, frankly. One of the stories I love to tell is on Mother's Day last year, we did a video that had Matt in it, that was shot in Haiti, and it was narrated by Jodie Foster, and in the first 2 months had less than 10,000 views. I'm like, what the hell is, that's not supposed to work that way. And the reason, and actually when I had written a blog post for YouTube a couple months ago, actually about 2 months ago now, and I got a call from the ad council, because I basically said that PSAs are dead, no one's doing them anymore. They didn't really like that message, but the idea is that I'm not sure people want to watch that anymore. They just don't really care. Now we have that kind of content too on our channel. You know, one of the things we actually did last year in 2012 is we actually published 60 unique videos on our YouTube channel. Now a lot of that was basically like kind of like B-roll that we just had caught from the field of just like people living their life and just threw it out there as a clip of the day as opposed to a photo video type of thing. So we do have a very strong commitment to telling the story about the cause, and don't get me wrong about that. But how do we like do something with the tulips? How do we do something kind of like out of the ordinary? Well, we know that celebrity does draw because we can see that it does work. We know that humor also helps a lot. We passed around Damon, when Matt did this video to sell some water bottles in 2011, it had about 300,000 views over the course of 2 months, which is not bad, pretty respectable, and it was pretty funny. But we also know that from the experience we have with the vloggers is that if you have a subscriber base, that's a really good way to kind of like kick the thing off and get it going, because they obviously have a lot of people who will see it initially. So what we decided to do is to kind of like shove all these ideas together. So we took this Hollywood talent concept, how do we take the YouTube community, how do we take this online activation, like to donate your voice, and then our cause, and like do something kind of crazy. And the idea is the toilet strike. How many of you have seen this? Has anyone seen this yet? A couple of you have? Oh, hey, Chad has seen it, of course. Well, the toilet strike, and I have a little clip of the video here in a second. But the idea is to basically take all these pieces and shove them into one thing, literally as an experiment. A celebrity using Matt, and what we ended up doing, well, I actually got something, so I'll tell you that. So this is the website when you go to it, and it's strikewithme.org. I don't have it, this is a screenshot, but if you scroll down, Matt's face appears when you start scrolling down. But he's basically, the setup is that he's going to not go to the bathroom until everyone has access to water and a toilet. And it's a press conference, is basically what they did. And what we did is we took over Space LA, which is YouTube's big video production facility near LAX, and we basically we did a casting call, We invited about 50 vloggers to submit a script. One that didn't require much of Matt and one required none of Matt. And we vetted all those, and then we decided which were the 6 best. We invited them to the shoot, and then we had Matt appear in the video, all right? So, like in the first upper left, that's actually the press conference, which I'll show you a clip of. Shane Carroll, the guy there by the helicopter, he's a pretty popular vlogger, has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's also in that picture, right, also to the, that's the faux PSA, which I'll explain in a second. And Craig in the middle on the left, he was a waiter 3 years ago in Chicago. He has a pretty popular channel called Woozy Waiter on YouTube now. He has over 400,000 subscribers. And he did a pretty artful job of integrating Matt into kind of like this typical, his videos from his apartment is basically what he does all the time. Lisa Schwartz did one with kind of a strange guy. I didn't really like that one. The one that's around the middle on the left, the one in the middle on the right I'm not supposed to show you because that one doesn't come out until Wednesday of next week. But it does have Jessica Biel and Jason Bateman in it. Then we have on the lower left is Live Crew Girls. They did a really funny interview with Matt on their couch. Let's see, next guy is John, and he did this like kind of one-upsman thing, and then the last one on the lower right is Lloyd, who basically did a video of Matt breaking up with his toilet, and how the toilet was kind of like, the idea that he had to go and, you know, he had to convince Matt to go talk to the toilet because the toilet was upset that he broke it. So, but what was really great was that Matt had a really good attitude about this, because it's like, I mean, it was a full day, 8-hour shoot, and he basically went from room to room and like read the script and just did it. And really took a big risk in a way, because this is like kind of, now what he did say is like, if I could do this with Sarah Silverman, like this is all pretty tame compared to that, if you remember that video. Let's see. The only thing I'm going to set up real quick is that the video I'm going to show you in a second, which I don't think I'll start right now, hopefully it won't. But there's a little, I'm going to show you a quick video, so it's got like 15 seconds of the strike, and it's got a couple little snippets from a couple of the vlogger videos, and then the last piece of it is the faux PSA. So what we did is we did the press conference, then we did these like, let them do whatever they want, and then we've done these traditional PSA. You look in the camera, very serious kind of a thing, but with the comedy, and that's what the Jessica Biel Bateman will be on this week, later in the week. But I've never done this before from this. Can I make this work?
So everybody has access to clean water and sanitation. I will not go to the bathroom.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Does that mean both caca and penis?
Alright, this is a big setup for we're going to be talking to Matt Damon right here. You guys check it out. Here he is, the co-founder of water.org. Have you ever vlogged before?
No.
You've never held a camera. So I'm going to give him his pioneer. This is your Neil Armstrong vlogging moment. You're about to take one small step for vlogging. I'm going to hand you the vlogging camera.
This is my maiden vlogging moment.
Today I want to talk about the biggest waterfalls in the world. Number one, and ooh, hang on. Speaking of number one, I had a lot of coffee today. I gotta go. Here he comes.
It's not great.
Hey Matt, is everything okay?
Okay, yeah, everything's okay. Just 780 million people don't have access to clean water. 2.5 billion don't have access to a toilet. Basic sanitation. You're doing it back. Great.
Campaign, click right there to go to my page and you can see the video where Matt Damon announces his strike from using the bathroom. This is real stuff, I think. Thanks to Matt Damon for being in my video. And remember,
Just say no. As long as we're just saying no.
Welcome to Let's Talk About Something More Interesting. Today on the show we have Matt Damon.
Hey girls,
Hi, Matt Damon.
how you guys doing?
Hi, Matt. Hi. Hey. How do you like the mouse?
Do you guys know anything about the water crisis?
I'm supporting Matt Damon's toilet strike.
The strike against toilets.
Take that, toilets.
it's an incredibly important issue. I'm glad it's being handled in the most dumbass way possible.
We pledge not to go to the bathroom.
Until everyone in the whole world.
Has access to clean water and sanitation.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
When Matt asked me, I had to say yes. You don't say no to Matt Damon. He knows karate.
Matt Damon scares me.
But it's for a good cause, right?
Did you know the water in our toilets is cleaner than the water that millions of people have to drink?
Matt Damon made me drink his toilet water. This was before he started the strike.
Maybe we should start a support group.
If he sees this, I'm a dead man.
Join the millions of famous people who've already joined my strike.
Is he here? Do you see him?
You don't have to strike, but you don't want to make me angry.
Make it stop.
Support the strike. Go to strikewithme.org to learn more.
Can I just...
So those are, that's the kind of the montage. If you go to that website, you can see all the videos on the bottom, very bottom of the page. But the idea was to just kind of let it go and just kind of see where it's happening. So far, we launched this on February 12th. All the videos combined is about 2 million views. I'm sorry, about 2 million views. We've had about 200,000 visitors to the site. It's about one order of magnitude down. And we've had right at about 8,000 people sign up and donate their voice so that we can actually start posting content on their site. And actually, like I said, there's more videos and stuff to come. A couple of other interesting statistics that I thought you might find that's interesting is that over the course of the campaign, we've actually had a 5x increase in our channel views, not including these videos. So by people landing on our channel to watch videos, they'll watch the other stuff too, which is exactly what we want to have happen. We've also had, obviously, a ton of people. One of the links on the site is actually to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like we had a really low number, but it's like we've made our number for the next 3 years in terms of subscribers. Seriously. About 25% of the people that are coming to this campaign are coming on mobile devices. And so if you're not responsive, you better get responsive really, really quickly. And so all of the sites that we've been building thus far have all been responsive. So you go to the Lardy site, you go to the Strike site, even our main water.org site. We've kind of bit the bullet and kind of went through that over the last 6 months. You have to do it. You have to do it. Otherwise, people are going to bounce. Sorry. And then I said here, we have 52% of our supporters have had at least one person come to the site, and 34% have had 2 or more. So the idea here is to always try to fail spectacularly, but not too often. And those are basically, that's the end. So the plug at the end is, so if you go to Strike With Me, you can watch all the videos that support the strike, which goes through Water Day, which is waterday.org. And then the Power Code base is the thing I talked about earlier, and that's all available on GitHub if you want to go download the software and play around. And that's all I got.
Are there any questions for Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the code y'all wrote at GitHub, to share your voice. Do you have any research on how many people initially sign up for it and then maybe go back and disable the function?
Yeah, we have. Yes, so that's a good question. Like I said, we have about 10 to 15%, depending upon the campaign, convert in the first time when they land on the site. What we've seen is, and it's kind of hard to tease this out, but we have an evergreen site which is power.water.org, and we've had about 20% or so of those people that have donated that are no longer kind of what we call active donors. But there's some reasons why I don't trust that number for a variety of reasons. The first one is the way Facebook has changed things. If someone comes in and changes their password, it re-authenticates kind of the way their authentication scheme works. And they would have to come back to the site and re-authenticate with us over Facebook Connect for us to get their credentials. And so there's kind of that, they fall away automatically. The other part about the Power site that I also don't like is that site's been launched, the current design has been up, not for long I should say, but the actual donor base has been there for the last 16 months almost. And there's no limit. It's a forever donation. So there's also people that, I know they're going to fall away because if we gave them a shorter time frame, they probably would just fall away. So it was a really hard decision for us initially. And I should tell you, this Power code base came from a really simple problem. 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I guess, which was we had a Twitter account, and I wanted a way for people in the company to retweet the stuff that we were tweeting on our main account. And then I said, well, we could write software to do that. And then it was like, well, why don't we just let anybody sign up? Why does it have to be just staff? And that's basically where that started. But when we first built that retweet app, we actually had a way for people to pick 1 month, 3 months, or a year. And we decided basically to abandon that UI. And now it's just a perpetual forever donation. Now the agreement that we've had with people is that we do it only a couple times a month is what it says. But we actually do it a little bit less than that. Just because we don't want to push it too hard. And what we've also seen is that Facebook, you can't, once a month's enough. And probably with Twitter we can do a little bit more, which is why we talked about doing this slider, to make it so that a customer can like just determine how much they want to give to us and how much they don't want to give to us. You know, I'd even talked with a couple people at BNL that, I think there's some really interesting opportunities even for major brands to do this kind of a concept. And even maybe engage your celebrities to do some stuff that's kind of fun. So, we talked about wouldn't it be fun if like, a famous sports figure like Amy was like let's say I decide that, well, I'm a runner, okay, and I sign up and say, well, and then have some famous runner be posting on my account like how great I'm doing kind of a thing, so all my friends would think how great I am, but like, some famous person would be doing that. But you can play a lot around with this if you kind of think it through. But we haven't, like I said, it's about 20 or 25% is what we've seen fall off. Now what we've also done is we use it a lot for these short-term campaigns. So like Water Day is on a week from, 2 weeks ago from yesterday. So it's like 2 weeks out. And so we don't really push our audience to the site until the middle of next week, about, 8-10 days before the actual campaign day, and then it ends. And so the idea is we usually don't have any follow-up to that because it's so short. So that's a good question. Any other questions real quick?
How is all this converted to donations?
How does it convert to donations? We don't have really good data on that. It's really bad to say that. The problem is, we all know, is it's really hard to, we have a lot of the data, we just haven't taken the time. It's really hard to know everyone's email addresses. How do you uniquely identify everyone across all these domains? That's part of the problem. So if they're on Facebook or Twitter, they use the same email address they use when they make a donation, and can you tie all those things together? I've been trying to push back on the organizations, like, okay, we've been growing at the grassroots level, plus 80, 100% type of growth over the last 3 years in terms of fundraising. It's been pretty incredible. But I keep telling them is that we want to lead with education, not with fundraising. And so if we started over, you have to remember, when we rebranded the organization back in July of 2009, we basically zeroed our Facebook, we zeroed our Twitter, and we started over. Today we have 560,000 people following us on Twitter and 50 or so thousand people following us on Facebook, and we don't pay for that. There's none of that. That's just organic growth. And so I've been trying to have the organization focus more on that because we really want to build awareness, and the money will come. And so far that's working. The money will come. So just heads down on awareness. Heads down on awareness. Just make more and more people find out about this. And the idea is the strike's kind of a really unconventional way to kind of end around the whole thing. You come up with humor, with Matt, in a place they might not expect it, and then they get introduced. In fact, you saw in the videos, we tried really hard to make sure the scripts had a lot of those facts. So the idea was to do the education, but do it in a way that's not too, obvious, if that makes sense. So, all right. If there are no other questions, you want to transition out, or you good? No?
Yeah,
Thank you, Matt. I think it's pretty amazing what they do with very little money. It's not a lot of money you guys spend to make this stuff, so it's amazing what you do. We're going to take about 15 minutes, set up the next speaker, and then we'll roll again.